Okay, so my name is Priyadarshini Ohol, and I am going to talk about my practice, uh, uh, which is predominantly based in the values of authenticity, uh, play, and self-care. Of course, there are within these root values. Of course, there are many subjects that I examine and consider, like the democratic values of liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, social justice, uh, caste-based discrimination. Visible, no. Okay, I think maybe I should restart this live then. Should I restart the live? Just somebody type it. Uh, so as in your FB interface is being screened. Visible, no. Please start all set. Okay. So within these root, as the basis of these root values, uh, that's what my practice is based on. Uh, but of course, I examine multiple streams of there are multiple streams of inquiry and subjects, including discrimination, inclusion, exclusion, uh, and healing. Uh, and my practice is very process based. Uh, so I just want to talk about uh, what play is, right? So I was trying to find a nice definition, and what I found is this: play is a behavior that is performed in order to enjoy the capacity of being able to perform it. Um, so basically, what it says is that you do something and you do it in a manner in which you enjoy the ability to do it, right? Um, For me, the idea of play is a slightly different. To me, it's a very potent tool, right? Because I come as a being with so many complexes and doubts and issues that for me, play allows me to just be. And it allows me to access that moment, and that state of mind and that phase where you just are and you create or you do things from that point where you just are and you're not trying to be, or you're not trying to act, or you're not trying to do, but you just do it, right? So because play is the ability to just play around, whether it is with tools or techniques or materials, and it might be amateur things or mediums, or even subjects, the ability to just take off this whole thing about expectations of what the world wants, or how the technique should be, or what exactly is the composition, or whether the medium is supposed to be just the canvas. The ability to take the ability to play has the ability to liberate me personally from all of these multiple rules and multiple all of these brackets, and it literally it lets me just be and do. And what that does for me is that I am able to access and create in multiple different spaces, which is why I am a multidisciplinary artist. So I mean, I'm sometimes able to paint, and sometimes I'm able to write, and sometimes I'm able to perform, and sometimes very badly, if I repress all other expressions, I might be able to even do music, like not I don't have the tools to be a musician, but I have made original tracks for whether it's my performances or something of that sort. So the idea being that, conceptualizing or creating something, for me, the ability to just let go and be able to play and be in the moment has given me the freedom to just you know be an artist without any drivers, or any considerations or constraints of market, or what the gallerist wants, or what the world wants, or what the social activists are talking about, or what the movement has to necessitate. And it is, I'm able to just be an artist who does art, um, which is really essential to my being as I am as of this moment. And that brings me to self care, right? So what is self care, and why is that so important? I mean, you know so uh there is this there was this African American writer artist called Audre Lorde, and this has become quite legendary in feminist literature about what self care is. So it of course started with people of color and black people in the US, but you often see a lot of it being part of white feminist discourse now. But Audre Lorde said, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So, self care is a way to insist to violent and oppressive culture that you matter, that you are worthy of care. So, when you look at this, she's basically saying that it's not self-centeredness, it's not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. And self-preservation is a tool or a strategy to fight the longer fight. It's in a violent society, in an oppressive society, my existence and my living well itself is a big resistance. It's not palatable to a lot of people and a lot of classes and a lot of groups that I move around in. They cannot understand me. They cannot understand why this Dalit girl is able to, do things or move around in the same spaces or the same areas, or be on the same levels as such. And for me, that in itself is a breaking down of the borders, of the boundaries, of the, that's my resistance, that's my politics, that's my activism. The ability to be able to claim my space and my what's due to me, and to just be able to live when every at every stage we are cut down, we are there are barriers, there are walls, and they will keep putting these walls, and I will keep breaking them down, and I will take what's due to me. And that's all based in this whole concept and this whole idea of you know this self care and play. I mean, because of this idea of self care, I'm able to think about, not from the perspective of society or people, or what other people want or think, but I'm able to understand of me, about myself as an individual, that my story, who I am, what I am, and what my story is unique to me, and therefore my life, the trajectory of it, and the various ways in which I lead it, whether it is the manner in which I create art, or whether it is my educational background, whether it is the order in which I will be lead life until now, and going forth, it is unique to my situations, it's not everybody else's story. And therefore my art is going to be as the more authentic I am, the more I listen to myself and my life and my story, and the more true I am to who I am, the more original my work is, my art is, and the more satisfying my life is. So that is the basic idea of what I mean by play and self-care. um, just looking at the screen. Okay, I think you need to stop. No. Okay. uh so I'll come to when my background has been, I have been in the corporate world. I've been an activist. I've moved around in various movements, not necessarily just the Ambedkarite movement, but various uh, Brahminical led movements also. And my association with the Ambedkarite movement has been because I actively sought it out. I did not inherit Baba Saheb or the Ambedkarite movement as part of my family or cultural upbringing. I have sought it out, and I am, with the idea of fraternity and community and what it means to be a Dalit or an Ambedkarite. I've these are explorations that I'm still doing. I'm not totally on par with most people who grew up with Baba Saheb or the ideas of his words, and who were blessed with it. And for me, it's a very nice discovery. Um, but at the same time, my dialogue with my art and myself is also about who I am without all of these labels given to me when because I'm an accident of birth. So whether I'm a Dalit or a woman or or a straight person or so on and so forth, or an artist and this and that, I have a constant, you know, this pull and push relationship with this idea of being or not being what I think I am versus what the world wants me to be, versus the expectations of whether it's the individual, the community, the family, the society, and so on and so forth. And uh, and through play and self care, I'm able to come to design a life which is about who I am, and not about who I'm expected to be. uh, Even with the idea of who I'm expected to be within myself. So and that exactly applies to the art also, in the sense that uh, while navigating, whether it's a canvas or a performance or a immersive space or so on, the whole thing is, I'm constantly having these dialogues about, okay, hey, what are the expectations, what am I examining, what are the boxes of what are the parameters that we are working in, and whether, if I'm examining inclusion, then is there a possibility of radical inclusion, or is there, and what does inclusion really mean, like I did this performance at the multimedia performance installation, immersive interactive thing at the Academy of Fine Arts in Calcutta, in 2000, end of 2018. And for over a year, I was examining the idea of dehumanization, and I was trying to find a language for it, which I was not happy with on canvas, because on canvas I was drawing. I mean, I was examining caste-based discrimination, and on canvas I was drawing hanging girls, and it was really a very strange kind of a phase in which I was not happy with what my chosen mode was and how I was expressing it, and then I was searching for a vocabulary which would allow me to do that, and while searching for some way to, and I didn't want to express. I was dealing with a subject which was causing me immense pain. It was very close to me. I am a Dalit. I'm a survivor of caste-based discrimination. I'm a survivor of patriarchy. I'm a survivor of abuse of all sorts in this violent society. So, uh, and I have also been an activist prior to being an artist. I mean, I have a background in mechanical engineering, and I have done activism in governance, transparency, and women's rights. So, when I before I came to art, I was very, very heavily involved in many, many things, and I was almost on the verge of, and probably burned out too. So when I was I was re-examining these, and this is like after 2014, right? Like when all of these incidences started increasing, the atrocities on Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasis have increased. Minority Muslim marginalization has increased. So I started getting drawn back into these issues, and I was in Dharamshala. Dharamshala is where I go to retreat because it's a beautiful space which allows me to create and just go and be in a cave and just do what you need to do without worrying about the world and whatever they are up to. But even in Dharamshala, I was not able to stay away because Rohit Vemula passed away, and uh, or was rather institutionally murdered. I mean, that's what we should be using. And so many other atrocities were happening, the suicides of students, the murders and lynchings in Una, and this and that. And I couldn't stay away. And at that point of time, I was working with this and thinking about what should be happening, and how am I going to process this, and how am I going to make art out of this. And I was not wanting to make I have a lot of unfinished canvases from that time where I have I've drawn some two-dimensional hanging girls, or counting lines and so on. I don't know if I can show you that. I'll just try to. Maybe my friend had tagged me in one. I don't have any pictures of that, but I just recently come across a tag. So yeah. So if you can see this, can you see this? So this is something from that period, right? Like, you know, these are the girls of Badao. They're not, I didn't want to continue working on these. These are still there. Are you able to? So, yeah. So this is when I was wondering about like does uh, how does emotion and uh, art actually make any change, and what can I do. And so this was when I was trying to find a vocabulary for it, and I was carrying a lot of this in my body, and I did not want to you know I was carrying it in my body, and I was trying to think of a language and a manner for the expression of it, because I am primarily an expressionist artist. So I was trying to find a mode of expression, and I knew and I know, as a Dalit female uh, body, that my body is politically constantly under attack. The politics of the body is that, as a Dalit female body, my body is perpetually under attack. It's perpetually the subject of violence. It's there is no, and I did not want to subject my body to further violence, to self harm, because I also look at myself as a culture maker. you know I'm not just a artist or a painter or a writer or a poet or a multidisciplinary artist or something. I am a culture maker because, within the Ambedkarite movement, within the Ambedkarite community, within the Dalit community, Dalit Bahujan, what is our culture? Uh, you know, if it is going to be non-Brahminical culture, right? Like, what are non-Brahminical aesthetics? What is non-Brahminical culture? I am lucky. I really think that I am really lucky that I did not go through the Brahminical schools, you know. So therefore, I don't have all these conditionings that people who went through the Brahminical school systems of art went through, right? Where they were taught primarily Brahminical aesthetics, which cater to people who, dictate Brahminical culture. So I don't have that baggage. I can, just by virtue of this idea of, play, self care, authenticity, and looking into, just being true to who I am and what my life is, art and work that comes from me is authentically non-Brahminical. So I was examining that idea of what it is, and I was talking to people about performance, and and people were talking about performances where things like cutting and you know subjecting the body to a lot of pain or torture or so on was part of performance. And for me, this was inherently repulsive. I thought that as an artist, as a as a Dalit artist, as a Bedkarite artist, as a, if we categorize me as such. But of course, I'm a representative for our community. As an artist, I am definitely, I feel very responsible. And I definitely think that my work is not just mine, it's, something that is community property. And I speak to most people about it like that. So, as somebody who is responsible for creating a culture and and is responsible towards creating a culture for a community, I did not want to engage with the idea of self harm in performance, because when I was dealing with these and I was looking for a medium, I was instinctively moving with these feelings, these emotions, these every time something happened. And I did not see how self harm would be a political statement against, against constant violent attack on on Dalit female bodies. So, while searching for all of for a language, I came across a Japanese form, which is Japanese and German expressionist form, which is called Budo. Uh, it's not necessary that what I do is exactly Budo, because my usual habit is that I take certain essences from things, and I make them my own. So. So I did go and pick up the language of Buto, and the language of Buto basically allowed me to dig into my subconscious mind and my body, and it allowed me to access and release uh, through movement something authentic, and what I call authentic movement, or memory based movement. So it allowed me to release pain. It allowed me to access pain. It allowed me to access the trauma. It allowed me to access the memories, whether they are of my own. And my own memories of trauma and pain are very personal. But at the same time, my community memories of these are also very overwhelming, right? Uh, so it allowed me to access these memory based, the trauma based in memory and emotions and things. And while doing that practice, and I was doing this over, I think before I presented this, I was doing I don't know, for a year or so I was engaging with this kind of a practice to be able to come to it. And when I was able to access, and it's a constant research, it's an ongoing research for me to be able to access individual or community memory and release it, and make art out of it, make physical art out of it, because it is happening live. When I do what I do, I'm not playing, I'm not acting. There might be an element of presentation in it, because or a composition in it, a structure to it, which I will develop as time passes by. But in essence, when I'm performing, what is happening with my body is really happening. In that sense, it's live art. It's not. It's not theater. Uh, and that's why I do call what I do as performance art, even if the language might not be like some people who cannot think very critically, but call themselves curators have said that, oh, what you do is not performance. What would you know? Even all of life is performance. Every day I perform to be able to live. So this thing that I did, I'll just show you. I presented it at the Academy of Fine Arts, and there were about videos, five channel video, and multiple sound inputs, where there was a bass sound, and then there were localized sounds, and there was of course a performance, and there was a temporary installation, which was a video which was projected, and it was a video sculpture. So, and then there was this element of the audience that would come in, and that audience was able to interact and change the performance, the performer, and all the elements could be moved in. And at the same time, I opened the performance, which I call in performance, opening the performance, or in performance opening. What did I say? Sorry. Opening the performance space. So at the same time, I opened the performance space to other performers. So it was a great experiment. I learned a lot about what can and cannot be done. And because I was thinking about this, like what inclusion is, which is why the audience was able to enter, but also other performers were able to enter, because the Academy of Fine Arts has never done anything like this in their life. I basically took over the space, and they were really, some of them were really mad at what I am doing and in a gallery, and you know uh, and then in the academy to present subjects like this, which is about, there was a video about Rohit Vemula, and there was Bhima Koregaon, and I projected it on massive uh, 15-foot projectors, and it was so radical there that the gatekeeper, he came up to me and he said, "You want anything ever in my life, in your life, tell me. I've been here for 15 years, and never in my life have I seen something like this happening in this space." So not a single journalist or art writer covered this, okay, in Calcutta. Nobody covered this. This broke the space, and I was able to open it up to other performers. And but I later realized that most of the performers, or the most of the artists who were accessing this space, or even the audiences that were accessing this space, were themselves from oppressor classes and castes. I did not, although I thought I was working with inclusion, there were not a lot of Dalit Bahujan artists who were available there, or who were, already present in this space to be able to take advantage of the fact that I broke open a space and I opened it to other performers. And, they could just come and present radical performances or radical works of art in that space. So, when I came back from that thing, I was really, really upset. I didn't know to whom I was telling my story, because I was really mad that, you know, so much, pain and work and art, and who did I present to, and who did I open this space to, and, uh, what was the whole point of it anyway? I mean, what did change? Of course, what changed was that at the Academy of Fine Arts, they were suddenly, they decided to include performance and performance installations in amongst the things that could be done. A lot of people were mad, and all the way till Santiniketan, people were discussing about what I might have done. My co-performer came to me on the last day, and that's when he wanted, my collaborator, who was a musician, who's one of the oldest folk musicians in the country. He came, and last day he wanted me to actually read some of the articles that I had placed openly, and those articles were not about Brahmanism and breaking it down and things like that. So people were, but also during the performance, people came and said sorry to me. People apologized for the amount of pain that and violence and oppression that is being caused, and I felt like there was something that could be done, but at the same time there was a very easy glossing over of what really happened. Like, there was nobody who covered it except for the fact that at in that particular space most people know what I did, and I'm not sure whether I will get that space again. So I'll just show you. So I'll just show you. Sanjeev is saying sans Brahminical baggage, lucky you. Yeah. I really think so. When people tell me you should go to art school, I just think no. Though I might consider a research master's if there is a studio available, which I've been thinking about. So I'll just show you what I did at the Academy of Finance. I was not able to find the video. I wanted to really show you the video elements because I made a video which included Rohit Vemula and the Una atrocities and so on. And there was nobody believed me when I did this, when this happened, when I told them. But there was a BJP guy who came into the hall, and he stood. I had demarcated the performance line with floor tape. He stood on the edge of that floor tape and he yelled at that screen, at that camera, at saying, "Oh, but Rohit committed suicide. Usne usko maar nahi dala," and all. And I was with my friend. We had some performance prints up there, and we just thought one print should be here and that should be there. So we are just moving. So we are just standing in the middle of that, of the gallery, just staring at this person with prints in our hands, and he's dressed in bagua and he's coming and yelling at my and so unfortunately I didn't record this, right? Like, because I was with with these prints in my hand, and he's just yelling and he's getting riled up, and the demarcation on the floor just kept him psychologically on the border. But he's and I'm staring at my friend, and I was wondering if I should react, and he just said let it go. And he yelled and he said four or five things about how, because there was Sushma, because I have just juxtaposed SushmaSwaraj and Rohit Vemula in that video, where Rohit claims that he is a Dalit, and the post his death and post this, all the politics that happened, and which has been happening, right? Like, they keep denying our identity after imposing the identity on us through the Varnashrama or whatever the hell that is. They deny us that identity when we need justice, and this was really something that I didn't like. So that video basically has those juxtapositions and multiple places where you juxtapose the violence in various places. I was not able to find it. If I'm able to find it in another in my other hard drive after I'm showing you some of the things, then I will show it to you because it was really nice. It is really nice. And the other video was about Bhima Koregaon, in which Ram Punyani has, with the audio of Ram Punyani and the videos. I took some social media clips and I made those videos out of that. So clips which show, because there was a lot of things in the media that it was a riot between two people or two communities or caste related things and so on, and just distributing equal responsibility between the two people. And what I at that point of time did was pick up all these clips where whether Ambedkar TV or social media, various clips in social media actually show the planning and what was the extent and how one-sided it was. And it wasn't, I must say, that was not a work of art, that particular video, but it was necessary to combat the one too many media. For me, it was necessary, it was essential that I do it at that point of time and that way, to combat the one too many thing with media that the TV was doing with this particular mode where the scale of a 15-foot projector in a Brahminical gallery in the heart of Bengali Brahminical culture. That was just the way that I resisted, and that was my activism and that was my art. So I will show you some of the elements of that particular performance, installation, artivism. I call it artivism, but and I'll maybe okay. I can start with this, right? Like this is a picture gallery. So this is the text about the performance. Those two pictures are some of the performances I was exploring, called Dehumanized Body. So while I was processing this, I did multiple performances, almost every week or every fortnight. This is from that. This is at the Academy of Fine Art. That's Bulada. He's one of the oldest folk singers. Psychedelic rock or something, Bengali psychedelic rock. Is quite respected. That's the video. If you can see, that's one of the video elements. Can you see that? That's with the that's with Rohit. So that's Rohit Vemula talking about him being a Dalit. Uh, that's my performance. And in the background is a very interesting. I think I was really happy with that. The projection in that background is actually I did three performances. I did a performance in a similar getup, and then I uh, projected it and I performed in front of it, and then I looped that, and then I performed in front of it, and then I looped that, and then I did the performances. I was thinking, so this is another way of that I would like to play, right, with perceptions, with with the mind of the audience, and and the multiple layers of a certain visual element. So I wanted to actually be able to continue performing and looping and performing and looping, but I so that it would have been like, because it was a 7-day performance, so it would have been like a already I had done three loops and projected them, and then the first loop, so it would have been like a 10 looped video at the end of it. But no, I was not able to do that. I just was able to get these videos recorded, and every day I performed with that particular thing in the background. So I will show you. Uh, this is a performance I've done in Berlin last year. This is called Wallflower. It's about a body in migration, and it also utilizes all these modesty scarves or dupattas, uh, and explores the idea of nurture versus modesty holding back, the burden of modesty holding back a woman. This is one of the performances that I did while exploring dehumanized body, while exploring that particular subject. And this is about the women the girls who are lynched and hanged. Um, Again, one of the performances about the Pink Girl video, in which the audience is able to come in and you know because what I do progressively in this performance is I turn from a human into a object, and then of course this performance was developed with multiple people. So there was a Marina Abramovich in thing that got included, and then people, because there were objects of dehumanization, which are objects of I wanted one of the parts was these museum of casteist objects. So I looked through the Manusmriti, and I uh, saw what were the what were the punishments that they would be giving, and I kept the objects which you would punish a Dalit body, right, as museum of casteist objects. And then of course the audience was able to change anything and do whatever they wanted within the performance, except at the end there was a mirror, so they had to go and look at themselves in the mirror at the end. So this is a part of, you can see there is a rope, there is matchstick, and so this sort of references Marina Abramovich's Rhythm Zero, I think, but although it's more Indianized in the sense that it, within the context that it's taken from the Manusmriti and all the objects are from the Manusmriti. It's just that everybody knows Marina's performance. So when people were able to enter the space and see the objects, they very few people use the objects to change the space. Like in the final performance, this, if you see the rope has been used to construct, to make a complex net from what used to be what were the hanging cloth surfaces. They were supposed to be a video sculpture itself, but they were fluttering and so on. And this a performer in Calcutta just amended the performance space by using the rope in that manner. But otherwise, a lot of people basically use the objects for on the body, the dehumanized body, that is my body, or or they just watched it or read it. If you can see here, these are some of the objects, and at that point of time I was just able to present it with the context, like I kept the context cards which were excerpts from the Manusmriti below it, and people were able to enter that space and read it and interact with that object or whatever. And there was somebody who would stand, who would be here and who would say that, okay, you are able to do whatever you want in that space. You can change anything, and you can watch, you can stand, you can go around, you can change anything, and then you look into your mirror and you exit the space. This is a performance that I did called Does She Need Your Permission? So this was a performance in which I explored sexuality, and which was quite, it's been a subject that I've been thinking about, and also from the perspective of, am I, as a Dalit woman, allowed to have a sexuality? And if I'm allowed to have a sexuality, am I allowed to explore it even in the artistic context? And what are the limits? And of course, when you are in a safe space, you are able to. But you know, to present that is a completely different story. These are my abstract expressionist paintings. I just kind of like go through with you. This painting is actually behind me right now. That is the painting. I'm stuck in Delhi, and there was not much here, so I just put up one of my paintings. So this is the painting. This is also another painting. My abstract expressionist works are from when I first moved. These when I first moved to Dharamshala, and I have to give you the context that when I first moved to Dharamshala, I was homeless for about 3 months before that. And so I was wandering about everywhere, and it was a period of a lot of turmoil, and I was trying to find, a safe space. And when I moved to Dharamshala and I was able to find a safe space of my own, a room of my own, as they say, it brought such a, the peace of mind that it gave me, the idea of the ability that it gave me, the the hope that it gave me. I completely was able to, I moved from a completely scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset, and I started creating prolifically. So my expression is, I think it was really important for me to be able to create that space, that studio that I made in Dharamshala, after taking, after isolating myself from everything that had been my history, my geography, or, which was dictated to me by birth. I was able to create a space and just do what I had to do. And when I had that peace of mind, when I had that space of my own, when I had that room of my own, I was able to do wonders. And I recommend it to everybody. I really like this painting. This is where my art, I feel, is at now. If we are talking about on canvas, uh, and I would like to further explore that. I'm also looking at taking this more into public art. It's one of the reasons why I was in Delhi, because I wanted to do more collaborative public art, which was more resistance and more expressionist in that way. So, all right, I was going to show you something else. I was going to show you the dehumanized body performance. Okay, not able to exactly. So that's day 4 or day 5. So these are two other performers who are in performance with me. Because the performance space was open, they initiated another performance, or which they carried forward for a while. So again, these are some pictures from the performance. And those are other performers in that performance space. So the body resonates with the other bodies, right? Like the bodies that I'm, uh, the subjects that I'm examining. Okay. So let me show you what I mean by uh, one of the videos. The videos that I projected in the background. So this is the video that I projected in the background. If you see, there are three layers to it, right? So these are performances that I did every week for 3 weeks before I made a video out of it. So if you see very, very carefully, if you try to look very, very carefully, there are some minute differences between the layers. Like somewhere a eyebrow might be different or something of that sort. And so this was the projection in the background. And each of these performances has a different name, that a pink girl, flowers in the brain, a pink girl with a knife, a pink girl is dehumanized. And then all of these are layered together and they are projected. And then there is and then the performer is in the same outfit and in the same sort of get up, and they perform live with this going on in the background. So there's a constant, shift in the rhythm of what the eye wants to see and what the brain can comprehend and what is going on. And and I really like that. I really like that idea of playing that way, with the mind and brain. So it goes on, if you can see. And this, as I talked, if you see, it's not necessary that the movement or the performance is something that everybody is going to like. Because if you're talking about authentic memory based movement, because it's not supposed to be nice, it's not supposed to be good, it's just supposed to be authentic. So, trauma or anything, if a memory is stored in my body, and if I'm, or and especially if I'm resonating with the memories of, uh, rapes and murders of Dalit women, then those memories, wherever they're stored in my body, and my research and my the movement is coming out of me listening to my body and accessing those memories and trying to and moving them, embodying those emotions and those memories in a certain manner. So it's not necessarily going to be a beautiful visual. It can but it's definitely interesting, it's captivating and interesting. um, but there are multiple reasons why I'm doing this, right? Like why I research the idea of accessing, because of course it is because it's based in self care and not self harm. I'm able to utilize multiple movement techniques and cross apply them across the disciplines. But also think if I'm able to research this, maybe I can develop something, some form that I may be able to develop into some cultural property, where because our people don't have access to mental health so easily, or they don't have the ability or the space or the resources to access help for when they may need it, the ability to move, to care about themselves, to remove trauma, to move beyond the constant violence and oppression that we face and survive. So if I'm able to research, and if I'm able to give some structure, I'm still in the research phase, I'm still like just trying to find these things in my body, and there's not a lot of structure to it yet. But then if I'm able to give a structure to it, and if I'm able to make a form out of it, maybe this is something that could become cultural property, which people from the community can then utilize to heal themselves. So in general, that is the long term idea of why I do this crazy movement, which is not palatable nor funny, and it's quite exhausting, frankly, to embody movements, because you may not be able to release them completely at the in the same session of movement that you do, but you are going deep, you're accessing your consciousness and subconsciousness, and therefore it's quite an emotional journey in that sense. But I do it because I'm trying to see whether, coming from me, is there something that can be. And I'm not introducing this to most people. I'm not taking classes. I'm not giving it to anybody, because I know that sometimes when you are when if you're working with trauma, there's there can be more harm caused by accessing or releasing it incompletely without the help of professional aid, then there can be by trying to do goodwill. So this is just something that I am doing to myself and my body, and it's not necessarily it's not very attractive, or something that I recommend to everybody, because but then if I think of within the scope of performance, pushing my body is part of it. But yeah, accessing the mind and the body, and the body, mind through the body. So you see these movements, the spasms, you know the motion, the vibrations, they are happening because at that point of time I'm a part of listening to that part of the body, and that's how the emotion is moving. After I did this third performance, I was exhausted and shivering for 3 days. Because in this performance, one of the performers, the third performance, this is the third layer, one of the performers who entered the performance space decided to push it, and push me to a point where he told me later that he was going to tear my clothes too. So he pushed it to the point where I really went into this zone where I had a very deep trauma. And at some point of time, at a certain point of time, my karate, I went to karate classes as a kid, and I started doing karate moves because subconsciously my self defense mechanism came out. So and after that I was like, really, really, I kind of realized, because I was going to do all day performances when I was going to present it, and because of the fact that this performance took such a toll on me, the third performance, I decided to just do at the max half an hour or 1 hour a day, because in this third performance of, it was about, I think, 40 minutes or 45 25 minutes or something. It took a toll on me for the next 3 days. It was psychological and physical both. And I realized that, and I was shivering when I stopped, when the performance ended and I had to leave. And I realized that I don't know if I can, handle, uh, performing all day with all these variables, where people can do, where I'm opening the space to strangers and performers, and whoever can do whatever they want, and there's, they can change anything about it. So I had to make the decision almost at the last minute, that okay, I'm not gonna do a long duration performance all day, because I don't think I could probably come out of it sane. So this was so this was the one of the video elements in the background. I want you to, I don't know if you can listen, but there is a soundtrack that I want to play. This, if you can hear this, this was supposed to be the bass soundtrack. I'll just This is like the mood setter. There were multiple elements of sound in the there were sound prompts of all the slurs and abuses, or or the violent things that society says to us as Dalits, and they were scattered all across the gallery. But there was this one soundtrack. uh, so I had done a performance in which I basically ended up screaming a lot. And the scream is not art. So then, how do you turn it into art? So I went to a friend of mine who was a sound artist, and I said, okay, so I am screaming here in this performance, and I want to do something with it, because it is a part of, the process with which I was exploring that subject. So we took it and we stretched it out a lot. And that particular scream, I can show you the scream, and then I will show you what we did with the sound. Then I will make you listen to the sound again. So, ah, I'll just, it's there on YouTube. So, a painter's dehumanized world, right? So, this is a performance that I did. And yeah, this is where I'm again hanging people. So, that is the scream, right? And so I extracted that scream from that particular performance. So this is how all these performances that I did while exploring dehumanization of the body played into that final display. So that is the scream, and I made it the bass soundtrack. The idea was to play it over the PA system as an environment, and that becomes this. So this is like a really, I don't know if you can hear it, but this is like a really stretched out version of that scream, right? Okay. And okay. Uh okay. I'll show you. I've been doing some of the things right now. While in COVID lockdown, I've been like moving some of the uh, emotions through the body, and I mean, so this is some of that. This is my current studio right now here in. I'm stuck in Delhi, so this is. So this is. I was a bit sore with a lot of things going on, and I was trying to move emotion. I was trying to move emotion between my left and right shoulder blade. So the two muscles there seem to have been stuck. So I was moving it, and you know that particular movement might be a bit of this. So you need to get a bit leaner because there's a lot of detailed movement and micro movements that you can't see. That's one of the things. And apart from that, what else should I? Uh, Black Bride welcomes you. So Sukina, you were there during when I did the Black Bride welcomes you performance, right? So one of the performances that I did was where I explored this idea of of the witch, the spinster witch, because I'm not married, and all of the whole world telling me about, how if I don't get married, I'll turn into a wee spinster and things, blah, blah, blah. So I was exploring that, and I invited people in with blindfolds, and I utilized multiple elements of different senses. So I tried to gave them the experience of various smells, and then I even used taste. And by far, taste was the most stunning. I played this whole psychological surreal thing where I'm that's me, the black bride, and look at this. So I was also exploring this whole thing about consent, right? Like, okay, I was playing with that boundary because that person in the audience doesn't want to eat and they're scared. So, you know, but you have entered my performance, you have entered my world. What is the consent? Like, till what point can I push you? So I go to her two or three times, but I don't push her to eat. This audience. So it was a very dark. Sometimes I go into the dark. She says no. That was, I should have. So now I know that I would give trigger warnings if I do something like this again. Then I would probably tell people about trigger warnings, that okay, it's going to be a psychological performance that's going to explore and play with your psyche and comes from a very dark space, because this was quite a dark performance. Actually, all of those videos that you see which are being projected, those are just videos that I shot, and they are all these sounds of firecrackers and various things. So I basically brought them into this entire dark space with a dark thing, and then I took them to a very dark part of the psyche, and there was some element of play in this. Sukina, you were there. I don't know how you liked it, but there not no. It was all about playing with even the, not just the good side of you, but the bad side also. And this was one of those performances. I do like this. This is like being a bit of a jester, and taking the audience into your world, where the world may not necessarily be all nice. So that is one of though that's one of them. Uh, to just give you a sense of movement, like a variety of movement, and how decontextualization or different, what I mean. So this is a body going into animal, the like an this goes from a human body, and it becomes an animal body. So this is maybe an abused animal or something. Okay. So, one last thing I might show you is I was trying to develop a residency at that time, and for various reasons that didn't happen. But I was using myself as the test subject for the residency, and I did this in that particular residency. So this was like the culmination of that residency, right? Like, you can see there's works on the walls that I did while I was in residency there. And then this is a performative, this was like the final performance that I did, called Everybody is an Artist, in which I basically wanted to, encourage this. I was playing with this idea of self destruction and of creation and destruction of the work, and the audience as a performer, or the audience as an artist, also becoming part of the art. So I basically used all the works that I did. I put them I had them up on the walls, and I used performance to tempt the audience into wanting to paint. There was music, there was, so, and then I basically lead them in various ways by showing. And then the performance space is opened. So you can see that. So I paint, or a lot of these artworks are done performatively, right? So I do that, and then we let the audience in, and you can see so the performer exits the performance space, and the audience becomes the performer. So I'm outside now, and that's the audience becoming the artist. So they all at the end of the performance, they were all invited inside, and uh, they were all invited inside, and they were asked to do whatever they wanted on my art. So some of them really ruined it, and I was doing this because I was playing with this idea of what happens when the art degenerates, right? Like especially if you're doing radical inclusion, what happens when your preconceived ideas of beauty and aesthetics and notions are degenerated, or and how do you inculcate that, how do you accept that, and still make art out of it. So within that performance, I did this, like I invited the audience to come and do whatever they wanted out of works that had been there for 3 months, and it was a very hard winter that year. But and so those were works that I made. Those were works it was called the subconscious body residency. So those were works that I had made from a subconscious space and on paper. And so I was playing with this idea of being detached with that work, and also letting become making the audience the artist, and then in totality all of that becoming art. So and with the intention of, what when I talk about agile art, is that something that could be done, that could Ohol plus also be a great work of art. So they then come, and then they do this. They are like they are all over my work. They are making work over my work. And that's me outside the window. So yeah, so that was a bit painful, I must say that. And this had also happened in the Academy of Fine Art Performance, that one time the one of the performers started this really noisy, screechy performance where they're moving the chair, and all the audience ran away. And I was also in performance, and I kept coming out of the performance because he was like being so annoying. And then I was thinking over these things that, okay, so this idea of being attached to your creation to that extent that you just want to just not want to have that person in that space. And if you initiate a performance and you invite people in there, then it is possible, right? Like, it's true that the old structures and the old ideas and the old creations are going to collapse. And how do and it's painful when so much work that you have put in uh, and made something. It's quite painful to see it collapse. And and you're an artist, you want people to appreciate your work, and people are running away because you opened the space, and you know they have a completely different sense of taste and whatever. So part of this performance was actually playing with my own self of you know being detached with my work and still making art out of it. Now, if those paintings, they're on paper, so, and in Dharamshala it's quite wet during the monsoon, and there was one monsoon that passed that I was not there. So if those works are still on paper, and they are and I'm able to work on them a little bit, I'll make I'll do an iteration of my work on it, and that can is metaphorically how you can include and still create something worth something. And so it's the way that I'm framing it. I mean, it's a metaphor for also society, is or the social structures that we are trying to dismantle also, right? Where the established the way things are established right now, there's a lot of pain in destruction of those. But at the same time, how do I practice it myself? And so I'm practicing it so that it is an example of what can be done, because you can create beauty out of also destruction, even if you have invested a lot. And that is the cycle that's happening for millennia, right? Like, you build civilizations, you build them on certain principles, certain rules, and then a new particular civilization or a new idea, a new thought comes, and it maybe destroys or it degenerates what you already have according to your ideals and perceptions. But maybe you're able to build something new and better out of it. So a little bit of metaphorical philosophical stuff like that. um all righty, it's getting quite late, so I will just maybe show you. Okay, this is something that I was uh, yeah, this is the current. So this is something that I do on canvas when I'm not moving. And uh, I did show you some painting, so I think that should be enough. um, Otherwise I can link you guys to some artworks of mine on canvas later if you like. But my painting related work when I moved to Dharamshala, I actually thought I'd make complete landscapes, but I only made one landscape, and then I moved into abstraction from landscapes. So landscape abstraction going into, so this was one of the landscapes that I made. And then you can see this is a landscape abstract. Um, and then you can see this is complete abstract expressionism. This is still a expressionist landscape abstract. Uh, there's a little bit of conceptualizing concept here. It's called momentum, so it's about, you know, the speed and direction of life, and it's this is a little thought about where I put. And it's not as spontaneous as the rest of. This is some pictures that are stuck in my mind, and I may not use a brush for it, but this is paint handling, and it's also quite performative that I do. I really enjoy doing this. I think a lot of my work is very performative. Uh, this is one of the abstracts, landscape abstracts. It's very beautiful. It's an abstract expressionist canvas. There's an underlying painting to that under which is like a deconstructed rose, and then I painted over it over a period of time. And this is called When I Miss You. I really like that. Uh, that's my art, and or okay, going to yeah, I think that'd be good enough. If anybody has any questions, I'm able to take. I'm not able to show you the videos that I wanted to show you because I cannot find them or access them right now. Uh, but if I can, I will definitely link to them. I said I was going to tell you a poetry. So I wrote this poetry, and so this is part of my text practice. I do write poetry, but also I write articles. Uh, uh, right now, the beginning of the year, I was at Shaheen Bagh, and in Shaheen Bagh, I mean, what am I going to do in Shaheen Bagh, right? Like, because it is predominantly the CA and RC is an attack on Muslims, and the movement there is being led by Muslims. So I didn't want to take over, appropriate, or dictate or my aesthetic or what I wanted to do on that particular space. So I basically went with my camera and I enmeshed myself in the movement and with the people there. And now what did I do? Like, I, of course, I could have created a mural because, and that'll be great. But the need of the space was different. Even they were going through a lot of vilification in the media, and they needed somebody to combat that. They were, and I am an activist in history. So one of my jobs then became like, well, I don't know if that is so. My performance every day was going with my blonde hair and my camera through the force, from the side of the forces. So there are like 3 or 4 barricades, and there were these cops, and there were these there were, so a lot of times there was a lot of tension because you never knew what was going to happen. So just crossing those 3 4 barricades and talking to the cops and the media on that side, which is vilifying these protesters, and using my camera on them, turning that particular camera on the people who were turning the camera on those protesters. That became my performance. It's not recorded anywhere. Nobody is going to I don't know, I mean, it's just like I have some video footage that I might make something out of. But almost every day I would be there, and that was my performance, that was my contribution, that was my art. And people were happy to see me because there was a slight psychological, deterrence when there was a blonde hair woman with some media bylines and a camera, crossing this. They were very divided, right? Like there were multiple barricades that they had put, and so crossing this really tense space between the police and the protesters, and the police had barricaded. There was this. There were multiple layers of those barricades, and before the normal traffic started, and there was no reason to actually put that much distance. And sometimes there were the ssbs, and there was sometimes the crpf, sometimes there were both the forces. We never knew when what would happen. So this was my performance, going from the police till the till the protesters, and uh, using my body and my tool, with my camera, you know be part of the particular protest. And so there, that's what I did. A part of what I did also was I wrote an article about that, and then I also I've gone and taken some photos, and I've got some video testimonies of certain things, and so on. So that's what I did in Shaheen Bagh and the art, and I'm still processing that, and I'm using the canvas a bit to sort of bounce off between that, and we'll see what happens there then. And through that whole thing, that brings me to my latest piece of art. So I'm going to end with this. So this poetry is called "मैं तुम्हारी अमृता नहीं." So here it goes like this: तुम मेरे इमरोज नहीं, तुम मेरे इमरोज नहीं, तो मैं तुम्हारी अमृता नहीं। इमरोज ने तो अमृता से बेइंतहा मोहब्बत की थी, वो दिल मिसाल बन गए, तुम दिल बहला रहे हो। उन्होंने सब कुछ लुटा दिया, तुम हमारी हंसी लूट रहे हो। तुम जानते भी हो कि हम हैं क्या। जब मैं घर से निकलती हूँ तो सावन मेरे पीछे पीछे आता है। मैं राह पर चलती भी हूँ तो मेरे बदन को चूमने बारिशें भेजता है। फूल और पत्ते हमें अपनी ओर पुकारते हैं। दरख्त अपनी शाखें हटाकर गहरे राज बताते हैं। मैं कलाकार हूँ, बेकार नहीं, मैं प्यार हूँ, उसका इनकार नहीं। मैं तारों से बातें करती हूँ, मैं भी तो एक सितारा ही हूँ। मेरा इश्क, मेरा जुनून, मेरे होशो हवास उसके लिए हैं जो मुझ में पूरी तरह शामिल हो जाए। तुम्हारी उम्र ही ऐसी है शायद, तुम्हें कैसे ये सब हासिल हो जाए। तुम वक्त काटने के लिए बहाने ढूंढते रहो, इतिहास मुझे लिख रहा है और लिखता रहेगा, तुम्हारे साथ या तुम्हारे सिवा। तुम मेरे इमरोज नहीं, तो मैं तुम्हारी अमृता नहीं। That's it. Okay, any questions? I'm about to end now. Would you like to? Would you like your performances to be seen as shamanic or an act of catharsis or relieving of traumatic memory? Uh, I would like them to be seen as, acts of self-care, or proofs. The proof of, my body is the proof of the violence that society imposes on me. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye. It's been a long talk. Thank you for listening. Sorry for the delay. And thank you very much for your patience. And let me know what you think. Bye.